Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Red Dragon Inn Allies unboxing. This is for the single character pack, Cormac the Mighty, who is clearly a Conan the Barbarian parody. Really, it could be any barbarian character, but I'm sure that's who they're trying to play off of. Yes, we're going to add this. We're going to get a fun, beefy character in here. Who has a neat little mechanic, or gimmick as I like to call them. Alright, so we're going to have, of course, our rule sheet, which is going to explain how everything works, which I will just kind of talk about as we get into the cards, when we get into that part. Then we have our token sheet, which has our gold, fortitude, alcohol content, double-sided there. Then we have our little board with our deck, discard, drink me, our order, our fortitude and alcohol content, meter. These are work. They work perfectly for just what you need. But if you want to upgrade your game, pick up box number 5, the character trove, and you can get this. So again, this is only available in box number 5. For all characters that were released, so all the single character packs, and any of the other sets, so 1 through 4, that were released before set number 5, they can pick up the special, specific character version for the cards. These are actually kind of nice because they still have your turn order and your counters on there, but they also have extra spots on there if they have extra things. So he has a building rage pile and his raging pile. So it just kind of tells you where to put your extra counters. If they ever have extra turns, it tells them that. Again, not necessary to play the game, but definitely a fun little addition. Because, it looks a lot better than this. But again, that's useful. That works just fine to play the game. The other thing you will get in set number 5, or you'll find, like, with all later characters, is a deck divider, which works, nice if you're putting these in a storage box, which set number 5 is. The other great thing about these is on the back, it explains how their cards work. Alright, so Cormac the Mighty is just going to have a regular deck of cards. He's a human barbarian. He doesn't have any special extra deck. But what he has are these rage tiles. You're going to get these 4 little rage tiles. They're a little thicker. They're going to have numbers, or letters A, B, C, and D in there. So you put them in that order. And then, Cormac's cards will sometimes be added face down to his rage pool. So if they have one of these skull tokens, you must place it into your rage pool instead of your discard pile. If it has 2 of these tokens, you must place it in your rage pool, and then you have the option of placing a second one. So you can, fill up your rage quicker. Cards added to the rage pool are first added to the rage building pile when the number of cards the building pile is equal to the indicated number on the next rage tile, which will be on the front, so like 2, and that's 3 for the other ones. Then you activate by flipping that tile over and moving those cards from your building rage pile to your raging pile. The new rage tile always covers the previously replaced rage tiles. So there's a penalty and a bonus for this. So I'm going to use a little book. This is how it's going to show. So currently, they're using right here this tile, which is tile C. So he has 3. So he has 2 cards building in his building pile, and then he has his actual raging pile. So he has 5 cards in there. So when he hits the 3, these three cards that go over here will all go over to his raging pile. And this tile will flip over to then give him a new effect. And then his building rage pile starts over, and then everything sits in his raging pile. So there's another example there. So he has 9 cards in his raging pool total. So he has 9 cards total. 1 is in his building rage, and 1 is in his raging pile. So the pool is everything. And then there's 1 there, 8 there. So what he does, then he gains the bonus for having cards in there as well. This is after clearing out his rage pool, correct, puts all his rage tiles back to a single face down. So if you ever have to reset it, you reset all the way back up to A. So it says, whenever, if you have the alcohol symbol on your token, it says whenever you would gain alcohol content, it is increased by that much. But whenever you would lose fortitude, that would cause a player to lose fortitude, you lose that much. So, we're going to look at these before we even look at his cards. So, on your tile A, so the first time you get 2 cards, you can flip this over. You're not going to gain any alcohol, but you're going to do 1 extra damage every time. Then at the second one, now you do 2 extra damage, but you also get 1 extra drunker. Then you get 2 drunker, and you do 3 extra damage. And then if you finally get back to the last one, you go back to 0, and you're doing 2 damage. So you kind of build up, and you drop down a little bit, and then it'll reset. Yes, it's kind of an interesting little thing. What happens. So now we can look at his cards because we'll see what we have. And of course we're going to have the standard cards of Gambling I'm In, Start a Round of Gambling, or Take Control a Round of Gambling. 6 copies of those, 2 copies of I Raise, Take Control a Round of Gambling, each player including you must ante again. 2 copies of Winning Hand, Take Control a Round of Gambling. The next card to take control must be a cheating card. Tip the Wench. Pick a player. They pay 1 gold to the inn. The Wench thinks you should stop playing with the drinks. Negate a sometimes card that changes the effects of a drink. This includes negates, ignores, splits drinks, passes drinks, or alters any drink effects. This can only be affected by I Don't Think So. 2 copies of Wench. Bring some drinks for my friends. You may play this card during your order a drink phase of your turn. Pay 1 gold to the inn, order 2 additional drinks. And then finally we have I Don't Think So. Negate a sometimes card. This card can only be affected by another I Don't Think So. Alright, then we'll look at his actual cards. So we have 2 copies of Let Me Show You Some Real Rowdy Drinking Song. Pick another player, they lose 1 fortitude. Now this has the 2 rage cards. So when you play this, you have to put that card into your building rage pool. And then you have the option of discarding a card from your hand to add a second one. So you have 2 copies of Hey, I'm a Barbarian. Sometimes I hurt things. Pick another player, they lose 2 fortitude. 2 copies of Who Wants to Wrestle. Pick another player, they lose 1 fortitude. You see definitely where he's going with his deck. I'm bored, let's bite. Pick another player, they lose 1 fortitude. Plus when you get your other cards, they can start adding, 2s and 3s to your fortitude. So you can start doing 4, 5 damage with these. Prove that you're a warrior stamina. Drink. Pick another player. They drink from the top of their drink me pile. Wench, bring another for my friend. You may play this card immediately after you drink a drink. You may not play this card if you ignored the drink, split the drink with another player, or reduced any of its effects. Pick another player. That player gets a copy of that drink, plus chases, as though they just received it from the drink deck. 2 copies of Good Shot, My Turn. You may play this card immediately after you lose fortitude from a card played by another player. May not play if you reduce that fortitude loss. That player loses 2 fortitude. 2 copies of I Won This in the Gladiator Pit. You may play this card when you're about to lose gold. Use gold from the inn rather than your own stash. And he's got just Barbarian Rage. Just goes right to his pile. Nothing else. 2 copies of either Be More Careful or Try Harder. Ignore action, sometimes or anytime card that affects your fortitude. We're born tough in the north. You may play this card when in action, sometimes or anytime card would make you lose fortitude or gain alcohol content. Reduce that fortitude loss by 1 or alcohol content gained by 1. You friend, drink with me to the destruction of our enemies. Split a drink you're about to drink with another player. Friend, you look thirsty. Have my drink. Give a drink you're about to drink to another player. Place all cards in your rage pool into your discard pile. Just to basically reset your rage. No one ever gets hurt playing this game. I pass. You may play this card when you must ante. Instead of anteing, leave the round of gambling. 2 copies of You Call That a Drink, Ignore a Drink. 2 copies of Barbarian's Constitution. Gain 2 Fortitude, place all cards from your rage pool into your discard pile. And I don't take kindly to sneaks. You may play this card when another player plays a cheating card. You may not play if you have already left your round of gambling. Negate a cheating card, or negate the cheating card, you win the round of gambling. Yeah, so you can see he's definitely almost all about just trying to get reduced fortitude. Does a lot of stuff with handing out other drinks or playing drinks with other characters. Not much ever reduce his own stuff. He just kind of gets hit with wherever he gets hit. It says, after Cormac's D-Rage pile, which is his 4th tile, is flipped over, there will be no more Rage tiles. But cards with the Rage icon text boxes will be placed in his building Rage rather than being discarded. So you gotta still play them. Note that all cards in both piles come as part of his Rage pool. The card causes him to put his Rage pool in his discard. He puts all cards from both piles in there, face up, and then resets his Rage tiles. So it only has a few cards there that let him reset his Rage. He had the 2 copies of Barbarian's Constitution, and I think this one. I think that was the only 3 cards I saw that let him do it, and then place all your Rage into there. So that really means that while you're playing him, if you don't want to be out of the game, you're going to have to make sure you don't put these cards into your Rage pile. Or as you discard an extra card. None of them have that token, so you don't have to worry about them being forced in there. But if you play the one with 2 tokens, you don't want to choose to play those unless you know you can get one. Otherwise, you end up with all your cards in your Rage pool, and you have nothing to draw from. You won't have a deck to ever reshuffle, or you will have a deck to reshuffle eventually, because there's only so many cards you can probably get rid of, but you'll have a lot less options. Yeah, so that's him. He's very straightforward. Not too much else to say. Let's look at them tiles again really quick. Yeah, so you start with 1 extra damage, 2 extra damage, but he'll gain more alcohol, which he has a bunch of cards that make him drink as well. So let's be careful with those. 3 damage, but 2 extra, and then 2 extra damage. Also, again, saying that he doesn't have any cards that really reduce or is like that one card Constitution that lets him gain his fortitude back, and a couple like the regular cards that help him ignore drinks and stuff like that. But he doesn't have a lot of stuff to like just reduce alcohol content. So you kind of want to watch that. Otherwise, yeah, he's a barbarian. He's pretty straightforward. He's probably of the, I'd say the ally characters, he's probably one of the more straightforward ones. Lots of them usually have some sort of extra special gimmick that takes a little bit more strategy or learning how to do. His is pretty straightforward. Basically, you just play his cards, they go in them piles, and you just gotta decide if you want to try and force it to the next stage or leave it where it's at. Alright, that's what we got for Cormac the Mighty. See you guys in the next video. Bye.